The shop's grease smell clung to me as I pulled into our driveway, the sun dipping low over Pine Grove. It had been a long day, wrenches, oil changes, a busted transmission, but I was home, ready to crash on the couch with Sarah, maybe rub her feet. She was 8 months pregnant, glowing but fragile, and I'd been counting the days till our girl arrived. I grabbed my toolbox from the truck, whistling off-key, when I saw her through the window, pacing, hands on her belly, her face tight with worry. My gut dropped. Something was wrong. I shoved the door open, boots thudding on the hardwood. "Sarah? Babe, what's up?" She spun, her brown eyes wide, and threw her arms around me, trembling like a leaf. "Ben." They came. 2 guys, banging on the door, yelling at me. I didn't know what to do. "Whoa, slow down," I said, holding her shoulders, my voice steady even as my pulse kicked up. "Who came? What did they want?" She was shaking, her breath fast, and I guided her to the couch, kneeling in front of her. Her belly pressed against her shirt, our baby tucked inside, and the thought of someone scaring her lit a fire in my chest. "They said they were HOA," she whispered, wiping her eyes. "Had jackets, badges, said we owed $200 for the lawn. Called it a violation, said it's too long or something. They wanted cash, right then, or they'd take action." I told them we don't have an HOA. Pine Grove doesn't. But they kept pounding, saying I'd regret it. I locked the door, hid in the kitchen till they left. My jaw clenched, hands balling into fists. $200? For grass? And they scared you like that? I stood, pacing the living room, my boots leaving faint grease marks on the rug we'd picked out together. Sarah was tough. High school cheerleader tough. But pregnancy had her on edge, every twinge of worry after 2 miscarriages. She didn't need this crap, not now. "Did they hurt you? Touch you?" "No," she said, clutching a pillow. "Just yelled. Promised they'd be back." "Ben," I was so scared. The baby kicked like crazy. "What if they'd gotten in?" "They didn't," I said, dropping beside her, pulling her close. "You're safe. You did good, locking up. They're not touching you, not ever." Her hair smelled like lavender, soft against my cheek, and I kissed her forehead, my mind racing. Pine Grove was a quiet town. No fancy gates, no HOA rules. We'd bought this fixer-upper 3 years ago, poured our savings into it, leaky roof and all, because it was ours, free and clear. Who were these clowns? I grabbed my laptop from the kitchen, still in my work shirt, and pulled up the county records. 10 minutes of clicking confirmed it. No HOA, never had been. "They're lying," I muttered, showing her the screen. "No rules here. No fines, no nothing. These guys are fakes, Sarah, scammers, messing with us." Her eyes widened, then narrowed. "Why us? Why me? I'm home all day, do they know that?" "Don't know," I said, my voice hardening. "But I'll find out. They're not coming back, not after I'm done with them." I stood, grabbing my phone, already picturing those smirking punks, jackets, badges, thinking they could bully my wife. My pregnant wife. My hands itched to swing a wrench, but I reined it in. "I'll call the cops, get this on record." The sheriff's deputy came quick, a lanky kid named Jake, barely older than my truck. He took Sarah's statement, scribbling in a notepad, but shrugged when I pushed. "Sounds like a scam. Happens sometimes. Without a plate number or names, not much we can do. Keep your doors locked. Call if they show again." He left, his cruiser kicking up dust, and I slammed the door, frustration boiling over. "Useless," I growled, turning to Sarah. "They're not waiting for proof. They're waiting for trouble. I'm not letting that happen." She grabbed my hand, her grip soft but firm. "Ben, be careful." They sounded mean. "I just want us safe. You, me, her." She rubbed her belly, and my heart twisted. Our girl, kicking inside, counting on me. "We will be," I promised, kissing her knuckles. "I'll figure this out. Cameras, locks, whatever it takes." They picked the wrong house. I headed to the garage, digging out an old security cam I'd meant to install months ago. My hands moved fast. Wires, screws, a mechanic's focus. Mounting it by the door, lens aimed at the street. If they came back, I'd see him, catch him, make him pay. As night fell, Sarah dozed on the couch, her breathing steady, and I stood watch, staring at the dark. Those fakes didn't know me. Ben Taylor, grease under my nails, quiet till you crossed me. They didn't know I'd fight tooth and nail for my family. And they sure didn't know my sister, Kate. A Secret Service agent I hadn't seen in years, a ghost from my past with a badge that could crush them. I didn't even know she'd step in. Not yet, but I'd protect Sarah my way first. They'd regret knocking on my door, regret making her cry. This was my home, my girls, and I'd burn their scam to the ground. The camera's red light blinked by the front door, a tiny guard I'd rigged up after those fake HOA creeps scared Sarah. She slept on the couch, curled under a blanket, her breathing soft but uneven, like she was still dreaming of that knock. I sat beside her, my toolbox open, screwdriver in hand. Too wired to rest, too mad to stop. They'd come for her, my wife, 8 months pregnant and scared out of her mind, and I couldn't shake it. This house was our castle, built from scratch with love and sweat, and I'd be damned if some scam artists tore it down. We'd met in high school, Sarah with her cheerleader ponytail, me the quiet kid under the hood of a beat-up Chevy. She'd tease me about my greasy hands. I'd blush and fix her dad's mower, and somehow, it stuck. After graduation, we scraped by, me at the shop, her waitressing, saving every dime for a place of our own. Pine Grove was perfect. No big rules, no fancy fees, just a sleepy town with a fixer-upper we could afford. 3 years ago, we signed the papers. Leaky roof, cracked porch, ours. I'd spent nights patching walls, Sarah painting them blue, dreaming of a family we'd almost given up on. She'd lost 2 pregnancies before this. Early, quiet losses that broke her heart and mine. I'd hold her through the tears, promising we'd keep trying. And this time, it held. Our girl, kicking strong at 8 months. Sarah glowed, but she was fragile. High risk, the doctor said, every stress a threat. I'd quit late shifts, fixed the nursery first, made her world safe. That's why those creeps hit so hard. Banging on our door, yelling about a fake fine, shaking the peace I'd built for her. I glanced at her now, her hand resting on her belly, and my chest tightened. She'd told me more after the deputy left. Details she'd held back, too rattled to spill at first. They were pushy, she'd said, voice small. Big guys. One had a scar on his cheek, the other kept smirking. Jackets said HOA enforcement, but the badges looked cheap. Plastic, not metal. They didn't care I said no HOA. They just kept demanding cash. Her eyes had filled up, and I'd hugged her, swearing they'd never get close again. I grabbed my laptop, pulling up the camera app. Empty street, quiet night. But my mind wouldn't settle. Pine Grove wasn't rich. No gated mansions, just working folks like us. Why hit here? Why us? I'd heard whispers at the shop. New folks getting weird letters, fines from nowhere, but brushed it off as gossip. Now it was real, in my house, and I couldn't let it slide. I tightened a screw on the camera mount, my hands steady, but my blood hot. Mechanic's hands. Good for fixing, good for fighting if it came to that. Sarah stirred, blinking awake, her voice sleepy. Ben, you're still up? Couldn't sleep, I said, setting the tools down. Thinking about those jerks, making sure they don't come back. She sat up, rubbing her eyes, the blanket slipping. They scared me bad, kept saying pay or else. What if you'd been at work? I won't be, I said, sliding beside her. Taking tomorrow off, sticking close till we figure this out. Already got the camera up. Next time, we'll see him coming. I pointed to the blinking light, and she managed a small smile, leaning into me. You're my rock, she murmured, her head on my shoulder. Always fixing stuff, me included. Gotta keep my girls safe, I said, kissing her hair. You and her, you're everything. Her belly pressed against my side, a tiny kick answering, and I grinned despite the anger simmering underneath. This was why I'd fought for this place. Nights hammering nails, days under cars, to give them a home, not some scammer's playground. I pulled out my phone, digging online. HOA scams, fake officers, anything to match her story. A few hits popped up, towns nearby, folks shaken down by officials, with no proof, vanishing after cash changed hands. One guy wrote, they hit my mom, old lady alone. Took her savings. My stomach twisted. Sarah, home all day, pregnant, an easy mark. They'd picked us because she was vulnerable, and that made me want to smash something, preferably their faces. Ben, Sarah said, watching me scroll, what if they're dangerous? Not just talk, real trouble. Then I'll handle it, I said, my voice low. Cops won't, so I will. Cameras, locks, whatever. If they show up, they're not walking away easy. I didn't say it out loud. Not yet, but I had a card up my sleeve. Kate, my sister, a Secret Service agent I hadn't talked to in years. She'd left after Dad died, chasing her career while I stayed, and we'd drifted. Bitter words, silent holidays. But she was family, and if this got big, she'd know what to do. Sarah squeezed my hand, her trust steadying me. I believe you, just don't get hurt. We need you. Won't. I promised, pulling her close. They're the ones who'll hurt, messing with us. I stood, checking the locks, the camera feed, empty, for now. Those fakes didn't know me. Ben Taylor, grease on my soul, quiet till you threatened what's mine. They didn't know Sarah's strength, or the sister I might call if my fists weren't enough. They'd regret knocking, regret making her cry. This was our home, our fight, and I'd end it, one way or another. The next morning, I stayed home like I'd promised, the shop quiet without me, my wrench hands itching to fix something, anything, to keep Sarah calm. She sat at the kitchen table, sipping tea, her belly stretching her shirt, a tired smile on her face. The camera's red light blinked by the door, my little soldier on watch, and I thought maybe, just maybe, those fake HOA punks had gotten the hint. I was wrong. They came back, bolder and meaner, and turned our safe little world upside down. It hit around noon. I'd stepped into the garage, tinkering with a busted lawnmower, keeping Sarah in sight through the window, when my phone buzzed. Her name flashed, and my gut twisted. She didn't call from 10 feet away. Ben, she cried, voice high and sharp. They're here, pounding the door, yelling at me. I dropped the wrench, metal clanging, and bolted inside, heart slamming. She stood by the couch, phone shaking in her hand, her other arm wrapped around her belly like a shield. The front door rattled, bam, 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 like a battering ram, and a rough voice bellowed through. Open up, lady. $200 now, or we seize this dump. Last chance. Sarah's eyes were wide, tears brimming, and she whispered. They're at the window, looking in. I grabbed her, pulling her to the back hall, away from the glass. Stay here. Lock the bedroom door, I said, my voice low but shaking with rage. She nodded, stumbling off, and I crept to the living room, peering out. Two guys, big, ugly, in those cheap HOA jackets, stood on the porch, one banging, the other smirking through the window, his scar glinting in the sun. We know you're in there, he shouted. Pay up, or we're coming back with worse. My fists clenched, every muscle screaming to smash through that door and lay them out. But Sarah, 8 months pregnant, scared stiff, was all I could think about. I ducked low, grabbing my phone, hitting record on the camera app, live feed streaming, their faces clear as day. The scarred one laughed, kicking the door. See you soon, sweetheart. And they sauntered off, climbing into a beat-up gray truck, peeling out with a screech. I ran to Sarah, finding her in the bedroom, curled on the bed, sobbing. Ben, they wouldn't stop. I thought they'd break in. She clutched her belly, breathing fast, and I wrapped her up, my arms tight around her trembling frame. You're safe. They're gone, I said, stroking her hair, my voice steady even as fury burned me alive. I got him on camera, everything. They're not touching you again. Her tears soaked my shirt, her hands gripping me like I was her lifeline, and I held her till she calmed, her breath slowing. You okay? The baby. She's kicking, she whispered, managing a shaky smile. Scared me, but I'm okay. Just don't leave me alone again. Never, I promised, kissing her forehead. My mind raced. Those creeps weren't just scammers. They were predators, tormenting my wife in our own home. I'd kill them with my bare hands if I had to, but I needed more than fists. I needed proof, a plan, something to end this. She'd slept better last night, curled against me, trusting I'd fix this mess. Eddie and his scam crew, their tattooed threats caught on camera. Pete's tip about the rental truck burned in my head. I'd call the company later, track it down. But for now, I was stuck at work, bills piling up. I'd left Sarah safe, doors locked, camera on, but my gut churned. They'd come twice. They weren't done. And when they hit again, it wasn't just ugly, it was war. It started mid-shift, my phone buzzing in my pocket as I wiped grease on my jeans. Sarah's name flashed, and my heart kicked hard. I told her to call if anything felt off. Ben, she gasped, voice tight, panicked. They slashed your tires. Here at the house. Left a note. I'm freaking out. Where are you? I barked, dropping the wrench, already running for my truck. The shop guys stared, but I didn't care. My world was her voice, shaking through the line. Inside, locked in, she said, breath hitching. They're gone, I think. I saw him from the window, that scarred guy in the other. Ben, I'm having pains, sharp ones. Hold on. I'm coming, I said, slamming the truck door, engine roaring to life. Stay put. Breathe slow. Call 911 if it gets worse. I'm 5 minutes out. I floored it, tires screeching, the shop a blur behind me. Pains. She was 8 months. Too early, too risky. Those bastards hadn't just hit my truck. They'd hit her, my wife, my baby, and my blood boiled hotter than the asphalt under me. I skidded into Pine Grove, our street quiet till I saw it. My truck in the driveway. All 4 tires shredded, rubber flapping like dead wings. A note was spiked under the wiper, flapping in the breeze. I yanked it free, my hands shaking, scrawled in black marker. Pay or she pays. My vision went red, a growl ripping from my throat, but Sarah's cry from inside snapped me back. I bolted in, finding her on the couch, curled tight, hands clutching her belly, tears streaking her face. Ben, it hurts, she whimpered, reaching for me. Started after they left. Stress, maybe, I don't know. I scooped her up, gentle but fast, her weight light against my chest. Hospital, now, I said, grabbing my keys, her bag, anything. You're okay, babe, we're okay. She nodded, clinging to me, and I carried her to her car. Mine useless, tires gutted, and sped off, tires squealing, her breathing ragged beside me. Pay or she pays. They'd done this, scared her so bad her body was breaking, and I'd kill them for it. The ER was a blur. White coats, beeping machines, Sarah gripping my hand as they hooked her up. Braxton Hicks, the doctor said after an hour, her voice calm but firm. False labor, stress triggered it. She's stable, baby's fine, but she needs rest, no shocks. High risk means caution, got it? I nodded, relief crashing over me, but fury simmered underneath. Those creeps had pushed her here, to this sterile room, and I couldn't shake it. Back home, I settled Sarah in bed, pillows propped, her eyes heavy but trusting. They're monsters, she whispered, hand on her belly. Why us? 'Cause they're cowards, I said, sitting beside her, stroking her hair. Picking on you, thinking we're weak. They're wrong. She smiled, faint but real, and drifted off, leaving me staring at that note. Pay or she pays, crumpled in my fist. I stepped outside, checking the wreckage, tire slashes deep, deliberate, a message in rubber and ink. My truck was dead, but my fight was alive, roaring louder than ever. I grabbed my phone, snapping pics, tires, note, the camera feed from earlier. Scarred guy, Eddie, and his smirking buddy had parked out front, knives flashing, laughing as they cut. I sent it to Pete, texting, slash my tires, threatened Sarah. She's hurt, hospital trip. This ain't petty help. He called back fast, voice grim. Jesus, Ben, organized, ballsy. Saw that truck tailing you yesterday, gray, K7 plate. They're watching. Stay sharp, I'm digging. Tailing me, I growled, glancing at the street. Empty now, but my skin crawled. They're dead, they hurt her, Pete. She's all I've got. I know, he said. Got a name on the rental, fake ID, but it's a lead. Hang tight, might need bigger guns. He hung up, and I stood there, the note burning a hole in my pocket. Bigger guns. Cops were useless, Pete was trying. But this was beyond me, beyond tires and cameras. They'd crossed a line, endangered my girls, and I was done playing nice. I locked the house tight, checking Sarah, sleeping, safe, and paced the living room, my mind racing. Kate, my sister, Secret Service, a ghost I hadn't called in years. She'd know how to crush this. Scams, threats, a crew tailing us. I'd fought my way so far. Cameras, clues. But they'd hit Sarah where it hurt, and I couldn't fix that alone. They didn't know me. Ben Taylor, grease and guts, quiet till you broke my world. They'd regret this, regret pushing me to the edge. I'd end them, with or without Kate, but her badge was calling. Sarah slept hard that night, her breathing steady under the quilt, the hospital scare fading into quiet. I couldn't join her. My mind was a storm, replaying the slashed tires, that note, pay or she pays, and Pete's warning about the crew tailing me. I sat in the kitchen, coffee cold, staring at the camera feed. Empty street, blinking light, my hands itching to smash something. Eddie and his smirking buddy had pushed too far, hurt my wife, my baby, and I was one step from hunting them myself. Then my phone rang. A number I hadn't seen in years, and everything changed. I squinted at the screen. Kate, and my gut flipped. My sister, older by 3 years, a ghost since Dad died a decade back. She'd bolted after the funeral, Secret Service training, chasing badges while I stayed in Pine Grove, fixing cars, and burying grief. We'd fought, yelled about loyalty, family. She'd called me small town, I'd called her cold, and that was it. No calls, no Christmas cards, just silence. Now her name glowed. 2 a.m., and I answered, voice rough. Kate? What the hell? Ben, she said, sharp and clipped, like she was barking orders. Heard you're in a mess. Pete tipped me. Fake HOA, threats, your wife. You okay? I froze, coffee mug halfway to my mouth. Pete, how'd you? Wait, you're talking to Pete. My head spun, my old cop buddy reaching out to her, dragging my past into this nightmare. Yeah, she said, no warmth, all business. Ran into him last year, kept tabs. He said you're tangled with scammers, got video, tires slashed. Sarah's pregnant, hospital trip. That right? I stood, pacing, my boots loud on the tile. Yeah, it's right. 2 creeps, fake badges, shaking us down. Slashed my truck today, left a note, pay or she pays. Sarah's a wreck, false labor from the stress. Cops don't care, Pete's digging. But they're tailing me, Kate. I'm losing it. A beat of silence, then her voice hardened. Send me everything, pics, footage, the note. I'm in Reno, tracking a fraud ring, counterfeiting, extortion, fake IDs. Your guys sound like my targets. HOA scams their new trick. I'll check it. Reno. I snapped, my temper flaring. You're 2 hours away and never called, but now you're in? What's this? Your case trumps my family. Old hurt bubbled up. Her leaving, me alone with Mom's tears, Dad's grave. But I swallowed it, Sarah's face in my mind. This is your family, she shot back, cool as steel. They're hitting you. I'm hitting them. Send the stuff. Ben, don't argue. I've got resources, agents, warrants. You want them gone or not? I clenched the phone, torn. She was a stranger with a badge, but a lifeline I couldn't ignore. Fine, I growled. Sending it. But this is for Sarah, not you. Don't think this fixes us. I hung up, emailed the files, tire pics, note, camera clips of Eddie's scar, and that Case 7 truck, my hands shaking with more than anger. Kate, Secret Service Kate, was back, and I didn't know if I hated her or needed her more. Sarah stirred, padding in, her nightgown loose, eyes sleepy but worried. Ben? Who was that? I hesitated, then sighed, pulling her close. My sister, Kate. Haven't talked in years. She's Secret Service now. Heard about us from Pete. Says these creeps might be her case. Big scam ring. She's checking the footage. Her jaw dropped, then softened. Kate? The one who left? She's helping us. Yeah, I muttered, rubbing my neck. Don't know why now. Probably her job, not me. But if she can stop him, I'll take it for you. Sarah hugged me, her belly pressing in, and I felt her trust, steadying me like always. She's family, she said, voice soft. Maybe she's sorry. Maybe this is her way. Maybe, I said, unconvinced, but I kissed her hair, letting it drop. Kate wasn't here for hugs. She was a cop, a fed, all edges and no heart. I'd sent her the proof. She'd do her thing. If she crushed those bastards, fine, Sarah'd be safe, and that's what mattered. Morning came gray, Sarah resting while I checked the truck, tires gutted, a mechanic's nightmare I couldn't fix yet. Pete texted, Kate's on it, truck's a match, rental's dirty. Stay low, she's fast. I grunted, locking the house tight, my mind churning. Kate's world, agents, raids, was miles from my wrenches and grease, but she'd tied my fight to hers. Eddie and his crew didn't know they'd poked a bear in his sister's badge. I stood by the window, coffee cold again, watching the street, empty for now. Sarah napped, our baby kicking inside her, counting on me. Kate's call had cracked something. Old wounds, new hope, and I didn't trust it, not yet. But if she was right, if this was her ring, she'd bring hell I couldn't. They'd hurt Sarah, slashed my life, and I'd end them. My way first, her way if I had to. They'd regret knocking, regret crossing me. Kate was in, and the storm was brewing. The afternoon sun baked Pine Grove, heat shimmering off the slashed tires of my truck, a jagged reminder of the hell Eddie and his crew had brought to my door. Sarah was safe, napping at Mrs. Lee's house down the street, her belly full of lemonade and trust in me, but I paced our living room, nerves on edge. Kate had called an hour ago, her voice all steel. Got your pics, Eddie's crew my targets. We're setting a trap tonight. Your place, fake payment. Be ready. Now she stood here, in my home, a stranger with a badge, turning my fight into her game. She looked older, sharp jaw, dark hair pulled tight, a black jacket hiding her gun. 3 years since I'd seen her, and she marched in like she owned the place, agents trailing. 2 guys, quiet, wired with earpieces. They've hit you twice, she said, scanning the room, eyes flicking to the camera by the door. Greedy, they'll bite at cash. We'll stage it, say Sarah's paying, catch 'em red-handed. I crossed my arms, leaning against the wall, my grease-stained shirt out of place next to her crisp Fed vibe. And if they don't? They've been tailing me, slashed my tires, scared her into the hospital. What if they smell this? They won't, she said, cool and certain, setting a stack of fake bills on the table. Marked, she called him, Secret Service bait. They're cocky, think you're scared, not smart. We've got the house wired, cameras, mics, my team outside. You open the door, hand it over, they're done. I grunted, eyeing the cash. Hundreds, crisp, a lure for those smirking creeps. Sarah's out. Mrs. Lee's got her, but I don't like this. Me playing bait, you calling shots in my house. Feels off. Kate's eyes narrowed. A flash of the sister I remembered, stubborn, unyielding. You want them gone or not? This is how we do it. Clean, legal, locked up. You've got grit, Ben, but no badge. Let me handle it. Handle it. I snapped, stepping closer, old hurt boiling up. Like you handled leaving? Dad dies, you bolt. Now you waltz in, big hero? This is my family. They hurt Sarah, not your damn case. She didn't flinch, just met my glare, voice low. I left, yeah, I own that. But I'm here now, and this is my case. Scammers, counterfeiters, hitting towns like yours. They're my mess too. You want to punch him? Fine, after I cuff him. A beat, then softer. For Sarah, Ben. Let me help. I clenched my fists, torn. She was cold, but right. Sarah needed this over, not me swinging wild. Fine. I muttered, backing off. For her, not you. What's the play? She nodded. All business again. They've been watching. Pete's tail confirmed it. I've got their burner number from a bust. Texted M, said Sarah's caving, cash tonight. They'll show greedy as hell. You answer, give him the stack. I'll signal the takedown. Stay cool, Ben, no hero stuff. Cool. I snorted, grabbing a beer from the fridge, popping it loud. They threaten my wife, my kid. I'll hand it over, but if they twitch, I'm not standing pretty. Hold it together, she warned, adjusting an earpiece. One move, they bolt. We lose M. Trust me, I've done this. Her agents fanned out, hiding in the garage, across the street. Ghosts with guns, ready to pounce. I hated it, her running my show, but her calm, her plan, it clicked. She was good, damn good, and I needed that. Night fell, the house quiet but humming. Cameras rolling, mics live, my pulse thumping. Kate stood by the window, earpiece crackling, her voice low. Text sent, cash at 8. They're close, truck's been circling. I gripped the fake bills, the paper cool against my sweaty palms, and checked my phone, 7:55. Sarah was safe, but I felt her here, counting on me to end this. Headlights flashed, gray truck, K7 plate, pulling slow past the house, then parking. 2 shadows climbed out, Eddie's scar glinting, Smirker's laugh cutting the air. My blood roared, hands itching to lunge, but Kate's glare pinned me. Wait, she hissed, hand on her gun. Let him knock. The door rattled. Bam, bam, like a gunshot, and Eddie's growl came through. Open up. Got our money, lady. I took a breath, Kate nodding. Go, and swung it wide, the cash stack out like a taunt. Yeah, I said, voice rough, forcing calm. Here, 200, like you said. Take it and go. Eddie smirked, snatching it, counting fast, while Smirker leaned in, eyeing the house. Too close, too cocky. Smart move? Eddie sneered, pocketing it. Tell your wife. Next time, we don't ask nice. He turned, laughing, and my fists balled, every nerve screaming to swing. But Kate's hand shot up, earpiece buzzing. Now. The street exploded, agents swarming, lights flashing, guns drawn. Freeze. Secret Service. Eddie spun, dropping the cash, Smirker bolting, too late. They hit the ground, cuffed, yelling curses as Kate stepped out, badge gleaming. I stood there, heart pounding. The trap sprung clean, Sarah's tormentors down, my house still standing. Kate glanced back, a flicker of something, pride, in her eyes. Good job, Ben. They're ours. I nodded, rage cooling, but didn't smile. They'd pay. Hard. And I'd made it happen, with her or not. The fight wasn't over, but the net was tight, and they'd regret crossing me. The air in the living room crackled, my hand still tingling from where Eddie had snatched the fake cash. $200 of Secret Service bait, now stuffed in his pocket. He stood on my porch, scarred face twisted in a smirk, counting it like a king, while Smirker leaned too close, sneering. Nice place. Too bad you're slow payers. My blood boiled, every muscle screaming to slam them into the dirt. But Kate's signal held me back, her voice hissing through the tension. Now. Then the night erupted, and those creeps learned fast they'd picked the wrong house. It happened in a blink. Headlights flared, tires screeched, and black SUVs roared up, boxing in their gray truck. Agents poured out, guns drawn, badges flashing, yelling, freeze. Secret Service. Hands up. Eddie dropped the cash, bills fluttering like dead leaves, his smirk gone, eyes wide as he spun for the truck. Smirker bolted, legs pumping, but an agent tackled him hard, face first into the lawn, my lawn, where I'd planned to swing for my kid. I stood frozen, gripping the doorframe, heart hammering as Kate stepped out, her gun steady, barking, down, now. Eddie cursed, swinging a fist, dumb move. 2 agents slammed him to the porch, his scar smacking wood, cuffs snapping tight. This is bullshit, he roared, thrashing, but they yanked him up, blood trickling from his nose. Smirker whined, pinned under a knee. We didn't do nothing. As marked bills spilled from Eddie's jacket, glowing under flashlights. The house shook with shouts, boots stomping, and I watched, half stunned, half satisfied. Sarah's tormentors, caught like rats. Kate took charge, cool as ice, shoving Eddie against the truck. Who's your boss? She snapped, her badge gleaming in his face. Talk. Counterfeiting, extortion, fake IDs, we've got you cold. He spat, red on the ground, but his eyes flickered, scared, cornered. Ricky, he muttered, voice low. Ricky Delgado, runs it from Reno. We just collect. Keep talking, she said, nodding to an agent scribbling fast. Smirker cracked too, babbling. Ricky's got cash presses, fake badges, big operation. As they dragged him to a van, I stepped out, fists unclenching, the chaos sinking in, my camera feed still rolling, catching every word, every cuff. Kate's trap had worked, clean, brutal, done. She turned to me, wiping her hands, a rare crack in her steel. Told you, red-handed. They're ours now. You good? I nodded, voice rough. Yeah, damn good. They're down, Sarah's safe. Relief hit like a wave. Those smirks, those threats gone. My house stood quiet again, porch lights flickering, and I could breathe, knowing my girls wouldn't face that knock again. Agents swarmed the truck, glove box open, papers spilling, fake HOA flyers, a burner phone, a knife still sticky from my tires. Kate's team bagged it all, her voice cutting through. Reno lead, Delgado. We'll hit him next. I watched, half in awe. She was a machine, tearing their world apart, and half pissed she'd swooped in like this was hers. But it worked. Eddie's crew was toast, and that's what mattered. Sarah came back then, Mrs. Lee driving her slow, her eyes wide at the flashing lights. I ran to her, pulling her from the car, her belly pressing into me as she clung tight. Ben, what happened? Are they caught? I said, holding her face, grinning fierce. Kate's guys got cuffs, vans, the works. They're gone, babe, done. Her tears hit, relief not fear, and she buried her head in my chest, shaking as I kissed her hair. No more knocks, no more threats. We're safe. She peeked at Kate, who stood by the truck, directing agents, her face unreadable. Your sister, she did this? Yeah. I said, softer now. Her sting, my house, her win. They're spilling, some boss in Reno. It's over. Sarah squeezed my hand, her trust warming me, and I felt it. Victory, raw and real, hers as much as mine. Kate walked over, boots crunching gravel, her eyes flicking to Sarah's belly, then me. They're locked up, fraud, assault, the works. Delgado's next. We'll raid him by dawn. You held up, Ben, kept it tight. Didn't have a choice, I said, arm around Sarah. For her, not your damn case. A flicker crossed her face. Hurt, maybe, but she nodded, turning back to her team, all business again. I didn't care. She delivered, and that's what counted. The vans rolled out, Eddie and Smirker glaring from the windows, their scam shattered. Neighbors peeked out. Tom, Mrs. Lee, whispering, phones up, X already buzzing. Fake HOA busted. I stood with Sarah, her hand in mine. The house ours again. No fines, no fear. Kate glanced back once, a half nod, and I saw it. Sister, not just a Fed, breaking through her ice. They'd regret crossing me, regret her badge. The fight was hers now, but the win was ours. The street was quiet again, the flashing lights and sirens gone. Eddie and his crew hauled off in cuffs just days ago. Pine Grove settled. Neighbors whispering about the bust, my slashed tires a badge of the fight we'd won, but I barely noticed. Sarah slept beside me, her belly a mountain under the quilt, her face soft after too many nights of fear. Kate's sting had crushed those fake HOA creeps, her Secret Service hammer dropping hard, and I'd grinned watching them fall. But life didn't wait. It roared back, and our girl decided it was time to say hello. It hit 3 days later, dusk painting the sky pink as Sarah grabbed my arm mid-dinner, steak half eaten, fork clattering. Ben, it's real this time, she gasped, her hand clutching her belly, water pooling on the floor. My heart leaped. Panic, then joy, and I scooped her up, her bag already by the door from the hospital scare. Hold on, babe, we're going, I said, voice steady despite my shaking hands, and sped her to the ER, tires squealing like a getaway car. The delivery room was a whirlwind, Sarah squeezing my hand, her breath sharp, me whispering, "You've got this, you're tough as hell." Hours blurred, sweat, tears, her grit shining through, and then a cry, tiny and fierce, cut the air. Emma, our Emma, slipped into the world, pink and squirming, 8 pounds of miracle after years of loss. Sarah laughed through tears, holding her, and I kissed them both, my chest bursting, grease-stained hands cradling my girls, safe at last. Back home, the nursery was ready, crib I'd built, walls Sarah painted blue, and Emma settled in, cooing as sunlight streamed through. I watched Sarah rock her, humming soft, her strength glowing brighter than ever. The scam faded, Eddie's threats, slashed tires, fake fines, a bad dream crushed by Kate's cuffs. But she wasn't done with us. The doorbell rang that afternoon, and there she stood, Kate, my sister, awkward in jeans, a teddy bear dangling from her hand. "Hey," she said, shifting, no badge or steal now. "Heard it's a girl. Thought I'd check in." Her eyes flicked to the bear, then me, unsure, 10 years of silence hanging heavy. "Yeah, Emma," I said, stepping aside. "Come in, she's awake." Sarah smiled from the couch, Emma in her arms, and waved Kate over, no grudge in her soft heart. "She's beautiful," Kate murmured, handing over the bear, brown, lumpy, a Fed's best try, and Sarah tucked it beside Emma, who gurgled, oblivious. We sat, coffee steaming, tension thick, and I broke it, voice low. "You got him, Eddie, Smirker their boss. What's the fallout?" Kate sipped, relaxing a fraction. "Delgado's down. Raided his Reno hideout at dawn. Cash presses, fake IDs, the works. Crews scattered, 10 arrests, more coming. Your footage sealed it. Eddie's confession tied the knot. They're done, Ben, fraud, assault, counterfeiting. Years behind bars." I nodded, relief sinking deep. "Good, bastards deserved it. Sarah's free, no more knocks." She smiled at me, Emma's tiny hand in hers, and I felt it. Victory, not just mine or Kate's, but ours. "You helped," Kate said, eyes on me, softer now. "Held the line, kept her safe till I could swing. Dad'd be proud of you, not just me." Her voice caught, a crack in her armor, And I looked away, old hurt stirring, him dying, her leaving, me alone with the pieces. Maybe, I muttered, then met her gaze. You came through, for Sarah, Emma. That's something. No hugs, no tears, just a nod, a start. She'd bolted back then, chasing her world, but she'd stepped into mine now, and it shifted. Family, frayed but not broken. Sarah chimed in, voice warm. Stay for dinner, steak's still good. Emma'd like her aunt around. Kate blinked, surprised, then nodded. A small yes, but real. She stayed an hour. Ate, watched Emma, even cracked a smile when I grilled extra rare, like Dad used to. She left promising more, not a ghost this time. And I let her go, the door clicking shut on a new quiet. Pine Grove buzzed. Tom slapped my back, hero mechanic. But I shrugged it off, cradling Emma by the window. Just kept my girls safe, I said, and he grinned, knowing. X lit up, fake HOA scam busted. My clip's viral, folks cheering a fight they'd never know started with a knock. The crew was gone. Eddie, Smirker, Delgado, locked tight, their threats dust. Sarah healed slow, Emma grew fast, and I fixed the porch, nails steady, no more fear. Kate's call lingered, her badge, her help, and I didn't hate it anymore. She'd swung the hammer, but I'd held the line, grease and guts, not guns. They'd regretted crossing me, regretted her shadow. Now it was us, me, Sarah, Emma, whole, home, a dawn worth fighting for. Weeks slipped by, the October chill settling over Pine Grove, leaves crunching under my boots as I fixed the porch swing, nails steady, grease still on my knuckles. Sarah rocked Emma inside, her soft hum drifting through the open window, a sound sweeter than any engine purr. The house stood firm, our fixer-upper scarred but ours. No more fake HOA knocks, no slashed tires, just quiet. Eddie and his crew were locked up, Kate's Secret Service sting a fading echo, and I stood here, a mechanic with a family, savoring a win I'd never planned to be so big. It started with a knock, those creeps in cheap jackets, shaking down Sarah for $200, scaring her 8 months pregnant. I'd fought with cameras, grit, and a wrench in my heart. Kept her safe till Kate's badge crushed them. The fallout was quick. Delgado's Reno hideout raided. Cash presses smashed. 10 arrests turned to 20 as the scam ring unraveled. X buzzed with it. Fake HOA bust. Pine Grove hero. My clips hitting millions. Folks cheering a fight they didn't know was just me protecting my girls. Sarah healed slow. Emma's birth had drained her, but she glowed now, cradling our girl in the nursery I'd built. I'd swapped late shifts for early ones, home by dusk to grill steaks, her favorite, rare, and watch Emma's tiny fists wave. The camera stayed up, unplugged, a relic of fear I didn't need anymore. Pine Grove relaxed too. Tom fired up his grill, Mrs. Lee's cat sprawled free, kids biked without fines. No fake officers, no threats, just neighbors, living loud, the way it should have been. Kate called last week, short, sharp, her voice less cold. Delgado's pleading, life sentence looming. Crews scattered, cases closed. You good? I'd grunted. Yeah, Emma's growing, Sarah's smiling. You. A pause then. In town next month, might stop by. No promises, but a thread. Family, frayed but tying back. She'd swung the hammer, sure, but I'd held the line, and she knew it. Left a teddy bear and a crack in her ice. I didn't need her badge. I'd fought my way, grease and guts, till she'd stepped in. Letters piled up, folks from Oregon, Texas, even Canada. Your story killed my HOA scam. Thanks. I taped one to the fridge, a kid's drawing, me with a wrench, Eddie in cuffs, grinning as Sarah teased. My hero's famous. I shrugged. Just a mechanic. But the ripple felt good, a fight bigger than our porch. That night, I grilled, steaks sizzling, smoke curling. Sarah beside me, Emma in her lap, cooing at the stars. Tom waved from his yard, burgers flipping, and Mrs. Lee brought pie. Apple, warm, a thank you for ending the nightmare. Pine Grove's free, she said, smiling, and I nodded, slicing meat, the quiet sinking in. No knocks, no notes, just us, whole and home. Sarah leaned into me, her hair soft against my cheek. You saved us, Ben. Kept her safe, kept me sane. My rock. You're the tough one, I said, kissing her, then Emma's tiny head. Pushed her out after all that crap? I just swung the wrench. She laughed, bright and free, and I felt it. Love, hard-earned, stronger than ever. A $200 scam had sparked a war. Eddie's greed, my fury, Kate's cuffs, but we'd won. The house stood, the swing creaked, and Emma's giggle lit the dark. I thought of Kate, her call, her visit, a sister I'd lost, creeping back. I didn't need her, not really. I'd guarded my world with my own hands, but her shadow had finished it, and I let it sit, a debt unpaid but not forgotten. They'd regretted crossing me, regretted her badge, Eddie and Smirker rotting in cells, Delgado's empire dust. Pine Grove was ours, wild lawns, loud grills, and I'd done that, a legacy I hadn't chased. Next day, a package came. No fine, just a note from a guy in Idaho. Beat my scammers with your trick, bless you. I tucked it with the others, a stack of thanks growing by the fridge. Sarah hummed inside, Emma kicking in her crib, and I sat on the swing, coffee warm, the sun climbing slow. A knock once meant fear. Now it was just Tom, borrowing salt, or kids selling cookies. Peace, ours a quiet victory, Greece, love, and a fight that echoed far beyond our door. Hey, it's Ben, the Pine Grove hero here. Thanks for riding this crazy mess with me. From those fake HOA creeps scaring Sarah pregnant to Kate's Secret Service busting him flat. You've been unreal. Millions watching, cheering, sending notes that kept my fire going. Couldn't have pushed this far without you. If you loved seeing those punks cuffed, smash that like button, subscribe for whatever's next. Maybe just Emma's giggles now, and drop a comment. Got your own scam story? Share it. Let's keep him running. Spread this to anyone fighting their own Eddie. Stay tough, grill loud, and catch you from Pine Grove.